wherever you go now, I mean, still, what's remarkable is you get this reception, don't you, as JR.
Oh, yeah.
One of those enduring figures in the mythology of television now.
And they don't forget in Britain.
Well, no, well, of course, England's played an important part in your life, hasn't
yes,
it, throughout the years, because it was here that you got your very first job in the...
I played in South Pacific.
That's right.
In 1951.
That's right. I met your wife here.
Yes, I did, and got married here, and I lived here for 5 years. I was in the American Air Force for 4.
And dated the Collins sisters, Joan and Jackie.
Yes, I did. I had the privilege of doing that. Yes.
It was a privilege, indeed a privilege.
Oh, God, they were so beautiful. They made Elizabeth Taylor look like a boy.
When Dallas came up and you read it for the first time, did you have any idea that it was going to last and be as big as it?
I had no idea. No. Of course not. No. Who could possibly? 13 seasons.
Yeah. And who did you base the character of JR on? Was there anybody or any one person?
Yeah, there was a guy I'd worked for when I was a kid, about 15, in Texas, and he was called Jess Hall, Sr., and he had 4 sons. And when he died, the 4 sons were all jockeying he was going to take over the empire. And I'd worked for him, and I modeled the character after him. He doesn't know it yet until he reads this book.
And then what do you think?
He probably want 10% or something like that.
Yeah. And what about the kind of fame that you had then? I mean, you became a sex symbol, of course.
I could never figure that one out.
No, but you enjoyed it, no doubt.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh. So tell us about the best part you enjoyed. I mean, what was the most extraordinary thing about being a sex symbol?
Oh, I don't know. It never really occurred to me. I think that was all hype. I think that was, just people who...
But didn't a lady once offer herself?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
you mustn't rush these things on the top.
No, you really want to talk about this on the show?
Certainly.
Well, I mean, it wasn't anything awful that happened. I was opening a Western store up in Oklahoma one weekend. You pick up a little change on the side doing that sort of thing. And so I'd done my show, and I'd shake hands with everyone and so forth, and I went back to my room. And I had a bodyguard in those days, big old guy, wonderful guy. And we shared this apartment. I had the top apartment room in the motel, and he had the bottom. Now I would go upstairs, and there's this gorgeous woman in my bed, in a pink peignoir and a bottle of Dom Perignon next to the bed. And she says, my husband's out of town for the weekend. I thought you might want a little fun, and so forth. And I said, well, that's very kind of you. I never encountered anything like that before. I talked myself out of it. I thought, well, for one thing, I don't do that sort of thing. Another thing, it might be a setup. Yeah. And another thing is, there's lots of diseases kicking around nowadays, There were 3 different main reasons.
All right, but
the first reason was the best.
It's, I don't know how you can treat that lightly, the fact that a lady offered...
Oh, I didn't treat it lightly.
Now, what about the international aspect, too, of Dallas? Because it spread far beyond America. I mean, the worldwide figure, I think, you're getting shot, was, I think, 380 to 400 million people watched that worldwide.
Was it that few?
27 million in this country, half the population.
Yeah. It was astounding, really astounding.
Yeah. You went to Romania there and had an example, did you not?
I went to Romania, and a guy came up to me with tears in his eyes, and he says, thank you, JR, for saving Romania. And I said, what? And not Larry Hagman, but JR, the character. He says, you have saved this country. We were allowed to have 3 television shows a day, and 2 were political speeches, and the other was Dallas to show how corrupt the morals of the United States were. It was a big mistake, Those people saw what was happening in the rest of the world because they had no information, and they wanted him. And they took him out and shot him 500 times.
They did. Yeah. His wife too. Yeah.
And, well deserved.
And what about your mum, who I mentioned there, Mary Martin? I was a great fan of your mum. She was one of the great musical theatre stars. What kind of effect did she have on your career? I mean, she wasn't really around all the time, was she, when you were a kid?
No, I didn't live with her until I was 12. My grandmother died. I'd been raised by her. And I moved in, and I didn't get along with my stepfather very well, so they moved me out, and I went to boarding school after 1 year. It was a nice trial, but it really wasn't worth it.
Yes. And so what effect did she have on your life eventually?
Oh, well, she always told me 3 things. Always know your lines, hang up your clothes, and be reasonably sober.